Funnels are dead. And e-commerce brands that win in 2025 aren't thinking funnels. They're actually thinking and building flywheels. A flywheel is helping you keep your ad costs low. It drives average order value, attracts long-term customers, and actually builds you an email list that you can market to forever without spending more on ads. And that's something that's how I've been thinking about this year and seeing how my successful clients are actually working. And also, I just started a brand, and that's how I'm thinking about the entire strategy, not just looking at one part of the entire funnel. So in today's video, I just wanted to talk about the e-commerce flywheel and why it's a better way to actually market and think about your marketing. If you want to make sure that your ad costs are low, your average order values are high, you want to attract long-term customers and build killer email lists that you can market to forever, then this is going to be a really good video for you to watch. Before I jump into the actual deep dive, I want to quickly introduce you to who I am and why I'm talking about this topic. My name is Dev, and I'm a growth and performance marketer based out here in New Zealand. I got into e-commerce when I launched my own streetwear clothing brand during uni, when Instagram and Shopify just came onto the scene and first launched. I just saw it as a huge opportunity to just sell. Didn't know what I was doing, and it was hard as hell. I was trying to scale it to 6 figures per month, and I just couldn't. And so I decided to go and actually learn marketing because I felt like that's what I was missing. I quickly racked up my experience in paid media and performance and marketing by working for really epic agencies. And then I eventually went and worked for in-house brands. So I got the full picture of what makes a really good brand sell online and what makes a really good brand tick for their customers. And in that time, through my experience, I've worked with over 100 e-commerce brands and managed about $27 million in ad spend across Meta and Google. That experience was invaluable because it actually gave me front row seats to what separates out an unsuccessful brand from successful ones. And looking at the winners, I realized that they did one thing really well. They built a flywheel system that gave them control, and their growth didn't just reset every single month, but it actually compounded their customer base. And so ultimately, what the flywheel came down to was these core 4 pillars that I'm going to talk about today. It was their messaging and offers and how they position themselves in the market, their advertising system. They're focused on driving new customer acquisition predictably every single month instead of relying on organic channels. Although organic was a big part, the advertising system actually took them to the next stage. A frictionless on-site customer journey and website experience was obviously crucial. It's e-com, that's probably the first thing people think about. The 4th pillar is the system to encourage repeat purchases through retention. When these 4 things come together, it makes a really successful flywheel. And that's what I wanted to break down today. So starting with pillar 1, your messaging and offers. Making sure there's one hero product angle is much more important than actually focusing and pushing 20 different SKUs. Because you have this opportunity to build a story around their one hero product. Customers actually start to associate your brand with that product and give you a shot because you will do a really good job actually building and communicating that story. You can proof stack in your UGC content, your reviews, comparisons, all your landing pages. The goal is just to maximize the trust signals for the brand, leveraging this product, 1 or 2 products that you're going to focus on before the hesitation from customers come in. And Liquid Death does this really well. They don't just sell water, they sell an identity. And they're a really strange one, in my opinion, but it works. And their angle is murder your thirst, and everything they do backs it up. When you look at their UGC content in the past, you look at the stunts that they've pulled, the reviews, it all stacks up, it all points towards that singular message or thing. And that's the power of having that one clear story and a hero product instead of trying to push 20 SKUs and having very diluted stories and market positions, especially when you're just trying to scale and invest money into scaling. The second pillar is all about new customer acquisition. Keeping it simple, especially as you're trying to get to the next stage around the typically from 20K to about, say, 50K mark. You want to make sure that your Meta and Google campaigns are actually working together, promoting the same ad angles, and you're keeping things consolidated. Meta, I would test creatives that hit emotional drivers. I would use 1 or 2 major campaigns. I would go broad and I would just test different ad angles and let the creatives do the targeting because that's what's working in 2025 from what I've seen. And you would test 1 or 2 interest stacks here and there, but the goal is pretty clear, and it's to find scalable ads you can actually spend on for as long as possible that will get you the highest return on ad spend. And on Google, you want to capture those really high intent audiences. Gymshark is really good with this. They promote the best sell, the emotional angle. And on Google, they lean heavily on the high intent customers. They use testimonials, discount offers, and keep it very product led. Pillar 3 is all about, like I said, it's all about on-site experiences. You want to make sure your traffic isn't wasted because of a bad site experience or bad landing page experience. And this is where a lot of the ad budget goes to die if you don't get this right. If your product needs more education, test out advertorials, listicles, give them more information, show them some more social proof in line with that. You're trying to shift their belief, and you need to do more than just sending them to a product page. If it's a smaller product, which is pretty straightforward to understand and doesn't need education, it's typically offer driven. You stack social proof, you just show that other people, really like it, and you would just make the offer very clear. And then you would sprinkle in tactics, add in bundles, and just make the pricing look a bit more appealing if you're discounting it versus the normal retail price. And make sure your call to action is just ready to go and aren't just filler, and your customers need that consistent message from your ad to the checkout. A brand that comes to mind who does this really well is Grüns. They're a new brand that's scaling aggressively, and they're pretty cool. They sell the same green gummies, but use different landing pages for different people. One page speaks to gut health, another to weight loss, another positions them against powders like AG1, their main competitor. And each funnel just feels personal. The language, the benefits, the proof, all of that hits that different customer avatar and helps them to relate and convert faster. It makes a product feel like a solution that's tailored to them and not just another supplement that's very generic and sells everyone the same old benefits that doesn't really talk to the ideal customer's problems. So I guess the lesson here is just to tailor the story because it helps to convert, and make sure you actually lead with the problem your customers care about, whether it's confidence, whether it's solving a specific skincare problem, whatever they might be. Just lead with that and tailor it and segment it and leverage different landing pages if you can. Moving on to the 4th pillar, it's all about retention and repeat purchases. You need to view the first purchase as the start of the relationship with your customer, not the end. And you need to dial in your post-purchase flows because that's when you're going to unlock more revenue and more profit. A typical post-purchase pillar or message that really successful brands have things like saying thank you to the customer. They educate them in some way about their product lines or go deeper into the product that they've bought. They introduce complementary product and leverage discounts. It gets people to become advocates where if someone likes your stuff, they would tell someone else, and there are systems in place for them to actually share that news and get rewarded for it. It's probably the best way to unlock your profit and drive the repeat purchase. And it's typically done through email and SMS in terms of channel delivery. The key is to treat the first purchase as just the beginning of the relationship. You need to make sure you can consistently nudge people the right way and keep building the relationship. A brand that really nails this part, I think, and has been really impressive is Glossier. They have this thing dialed to the T. Basically, after you buy, they send helpful emails. They thank people, their customers. They have tutorials and reminders. They nudge people with refills and introduce new products and run rewards and referrals. It's just a perfect retention program that you can have. They take them deep into the brand's ecosystem post-purchase because that's when you would keep the customers around for as long as possible. And that is when you actually extend the lifetime value of that customer. So when these 4 pillars come together, that's when your growth actually starts to click. Liquid Death, for example, with their messaging, nailed it. Gymshark's great with their acquisition across both channels. And look at Grüns for their on-site messaging, Glossier with retention. Each part of their flywheel has its own strategy and best practices. And unfortunately, that's where the hard work actually comes in when you pick apart these pillars and go deeper into each section that you need to make work. But when all 4 parts come together, you put yourself in a position of scale. And that's when you can actually throw more money and scale faster. But if one part of this entire flywheel is missing, what I've seen is brands struggle in 2 ways. Their growth typically stall, or getting a new customer becomes really expensive because there's a leak in their funnel and they're not getting the most out of their marketing. I just wanted to give you a high-level view of what it looks like to be marketing in 2025 and how I'm actually personally thinking about e-commerce growth in 2025 and what some successful brands doing. So yeah, I hope you find this useful. Catch you on the next one.